Well, it's apparent that you're interested in getting podcast interviews. Maybe you heard that podcast interviews are one of the best ways to promote a book, one of the best ways to market a business, one of the best ways to position your expert status. And if you heard that, you heard right. Yet there are things that you should do before you ever ask for the interview. And I'm going to use somewhat of an overused metaphor of it's like planting a garden. You don't just go in and throw some seeds in the ground and then the next day you expect to see flowers. Well, some people might. But the reality is that it takes effort, it takes time, it takes foundational work, it takes tilling the soil before you get the kind of result that you're looking for. It's the same with getting podcast interviews. And obviously the title of this podcast episode really intrigued you, or this YouTube channel episode really intrigued you because, warning, do this before you ever ask for a podcast interview. I work with experts who use podcast interviews as a great opportunity to get massive visibility for their products and services. Yet I always caution them before going out and getting an interview, you have to have some things in place. One is your website should be visitor friendly. What I mean by that is your website up and running? I've had people who are looking for podcast opportunities and you go to their website and it says under construction. That won't fly, because when people hear you on a podcast show, oftentimes they go directly to your website, they search your name on Google, they come up with a website and they go and they look, they try to find out more information about you, especially if they like what they're hearing on the episode. I have one client who did one podcast show, and she can track $8,000 worth of business to that one podcast show. Now, had her site not been ready, had she not been ready, she would have missed that opportunity. And yet I see it all the time where people are out there trying to get a lot of visibility, but they don't have their foundation in place. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that your website is visitor friendly, visitor ready. And again, make sure that it's just a functioning, easy to navigate website. Another thing you want to look at is social proof. Something that hosts of shows look for is to minimize the risk that when you're on their show, that you're not going to be somebody that they can't have a conversation with, that you might say things that are embarrassing to them or to their audience or to you, that they have no idea who you are because you don't have your bio put together, you don't have your headshots put together, you don't have your expert one sheet put together. You should have a media page on your website, but basically you have to have your foundational pieces in order. Another thing you want to look at before you approach a host is, have you even listened or watched their show? Because hosts get a lot of requests from people to be on their show. It used to be that the requests were few and far between when podcasts first became popular. Now it's a hot way to promote what you're doing. It's a hot way to not have to advertise, or if you have advertising, it supports what you're doing with podcast interviews. And so they get a lot of requests. And when you approach a host, it really helps if you know something about their show, about their channel, about them, about the guests that they bring on. All of that is absolutely essential to your success in getting podcast interviews. I really encourage people to get the interviews. I encourage them to go out and look for those opportunities because it's a great way to market what you're doing. It's a great way to position your expertise. It's a great way to stand head and shoulders above the competition. And it's good to a point, because if you don't have your foundation in place, it's like throwing the seeds into the ground the next day expecting to see flowers. It's not going to happen. You have to get rid of the weeds. You have to till the earth. You have to get the right kind of fertilizer. Hopefully it's organic and it's environmentally friendly. But there's all those elements that go into the success of a garden. There's a lot of elements that go into the success of a podcast show. I'm going to invite you to do a couple of things. One is down below this video in the YouTube description, I have a link where you can get my podcast checklist, how to prepare for a podcast opportunity. Not you as a host, but you as a guest. You get the checklist and you get a training video, absolutely free. And the link is below. It's powerupforprofits.com powerupforprofits.com/checklist. powerupforprofits.com/checklist. The other thing I would invite you to do, if you're ready for this kind of opportunity, I have a 30-day mastermind. It's a high-end mastermind for high-performance people who are going to roll up their sleeves and do the work. This is not a training where you sit back and you try to get something through osmosis. You're in there really putting in the effort. And that's a 30-day boot camp mastermind. Only 12 people are allowed into it at a time. Very hands-on. We have weekly meetings. I do one-on-one coaching with you. You get some really, really advanced training through this whole program. And that's the 100 Club Mastermind Boot Camp. I was going to reverse boot camp mastermind. 100 Club Mastermind Boot Camp. Why did I call it the 100 Club? Because the goal is that you will learn a strategy that will give you what you need to go out and find 100 shows by year's end. Now, will that happen by chance? No, it happens by effort. All you need to do is go to powerupforprofits.com/bootcamp. powerupforprofits.com/bootcamp. And again, I only take 12 people at a time. The next program starts on June 25th, 2019. So it's just around the corner. If you feel that's a fit for you, I would love to have you. I've had great results with the people who have been in the program, and we will continue to have great results because I really want people that are ready to get out there and be seen in a big way. This is Kathleen Gage with Power Up for Profits, the plant-based way, and plant-based eating for health. Wishing you a great day and encouraging you. Before you go out and look for podcast opportunities, make sure your foundation is in place. Make sure you're enthusiastic about it. Make sure that you're willing to do what it takes to get out there and be seen in a big way. Have a great day.